We've got to bring Brexit in, of course. No one really knows what final impact this is going to have on our domestic tax system. Laurence, do you think there's an opportunity here for British legislators to change things, to make it even simpler, to make it even quicker as a result of what we're doing?
Yeah, without doubt, some things have to change as a result of Britain exiting the European Union. So, for example, VAT has to change. You know, it's based on European directives. There are some very specific rules that govern the supply of goods and services within the EU. And while the actual tax treatment doesn't change, because no tax really changes hands here, the way we describe those treatments has to change. So the legislators have to get involved in that case. While the actual tax treatment doesn't change, this creates complexity for business, unfortunately, because systems have to change. And you know, a simple case of changing a VAT code and accounting system could take many hours, cost many thousands of pounds. That's just the way that companies work, unfortunately. There could be some really popular wins, though, I think. If you look at the politics of this one, for example, VAT on fuel, on energy taxes, VAT on energy, is a European regulation. We pay 5% reduced charge on that. It'd be massively political popular to take that away. I think the question is priority. Does anyone want to do this now?
Dan, what do you, when your clients ask you about Brexit and the impact, what are you telling them now?
I'm not sure Brexit will have much impact on tax. I mean, VAT, yes, there'll be changes that are necessary. There'll be some changes of choice. And no doubt, over the next 10, 20 years, the VAT systems in the UK and on the continent will diverge just through the random collection of policy choices, accidents, happenstance. We may end up with very different systems, but that'll be over time. So I'm not expecting much.
Is there an appetite in Parliament, though, for change, for wholesale change?
Well, that's this idea that the UK could respond to Brexit by becoming a Singapore off the coast of France. As far as I can see, it's total fantasy. Where if you wanted to and could shrink the size of the British state, abolish the NHS, privatise this, privatise that, then maybe you could turn the UK into the Singapore of Europe. But back in the real world, not going to happen.
I'd say also, perhaps tax policy isn't the way you dictate that anyway. If you look at, for example, something like R&D tax credits, which are intended to increase R&D spend, there's some interesting work on this by the Office of National Statistics, that the amount paid out in R&D tax credits has gone up 100 million to £1 billion over a 10-year period. The amount companies spent on R&D in that time didn't change. So the tax code system was perhaps not encouraging behaviour they thought it could do. So to make tax policy the Singapore off the coast of France doesn't really stack up. There's much more needs to happen for that.